The sea reminds me. A man's fingertips trace across the surface of a white blank page in a photo album. His eyes gaze down. There are photo corners on the pages, but no photos. The forward movement of his fingers across the translucent page creates a wave. The hands are those of Mark, a dark-haired man with Down syndrome, in his 30s. Still in his dressing gown, Mark finishes his tea and moves up the stairs with purpose. In his bedroom, Mark lifts the lid of an old oak chest. Makes himself comfy and reaches in. First, he brings out a light blue cotton hat. Mark's eyes search the hat for memories. Next, an old pine music box full of shells. He feels the texture of the shells. A memory. On the beach, his own small child hands lift up the same shells and place them into the brown satchel. His father holds the satchel open. He remembers his father's hands, grey hairs, and his old blue coat. Shells topple into the satchel. His father closes it. Mark blows the dust off the retrieved satchel. He opens it, gazes inside, gets up and tucks it under his arm. The same satchel now being held protectively by Mark on a train. Mark, dressed in a white shirt and beige trousers, watches the Welsh landscape through the train window. He reaches his destination, Barmouth. Mark steps out of the station entrance, looks both ways, and purposefully walks to his right. His hands trace the cold metal of a fairground railing. Bright colours, reds, yellows, blues. He wanders through the deserted fairground. Waltzers, bumper cars, the carousel. A memory. One hand waving at his father, another hand holding on to the carousel horse as it circled and circled. The appearing and disappearing image of his father, light blue hat, old blue coat, circling and circling. Mark is back with us now, spinning and spinning on the spot, swinging the satchel around like a satellite. Mark stops, grounds himself, and moves towards the next destination. The last inn. Mark walks into the pub. A jukebox, rows of song titles neatly labelled. A song simply entitled "The Sea" is selected. Mark's pint glass is filled to the brim with frothy ale. £3 coins fall into the barmaid's hand. Mark walks towards the table. His beer is spilling over. He sits down and sips from the pint. Opposite his own glass, Mark sees the unmistakable hands of his father, holding a pint of beer. He sees his father offer an open hand. Mark clutches it, holds tight, and pulls his father's hand towards him. They let go. We see Mark at the table. He is on his own. He takes another sip of beer. Mark slides his beer glass across the table with his dad. The glasses kiss, spilling beer, and they take another drink. In synchronicity, they slap and punch the table. Fist to fist, they push, and linking hands, they pull each other. From the bar, Mark is on his own. Mark sees his father offer his open palm. Mark tenderly strokes his father's hand. Mark is stroking thin air. Mark interlocks hands with his father to arm wrestle. In the tense arm wrestle, the pint is knocked over. We see a waterfall of beer falling from the table in slow motion. The beer is falling on the surface of a sandy beach. The table is by the edge of the sea, on a windswept beach, a wide panorama of sea, sand and sky engulfing the figure of Mark, sat in a chair with his satchel and an empty upturned pint on the table. Mark places his shoes on the table. He gazes down at his bare feet on the sand. From his feet to the sea edge is a long, meandering pathway of sandcastles. A sepia memory. A dance. Mark's dad filling buckets to make sandcastles. Filling, turning, patting, revealing, close to perfection. Young Mark hopping, stamping, jumping, destroying, and the glorious feeling of sand between toes. Mark now dances through the pathway of sandcastles, turning, kicking, stamping. He feels the hands of his father around him as they continue the wild sandy waltz, a mixture of Astaire and Rogers and Laurel and Hardy. Stomping, swooping, clumsily dancing towards the sea. Mark's feet are licked by the edge of the sea. Suddenly, he is back on his own. He looks out to the horizon and then down. An old photo is washed up by his feet. It is of a boat. He picks it up and gazes at it. Out at sea, old hands with grey hair are letting go of photos into the sea from a boat. Mark is picking them up from the shore. One at a time, he places the photos into the satchel. Images of his childhood and his father. Mark's dad continues sending out the photos, sending them on their way. Sand washes across the submerged photos at the sea's edge. We see Mark picking up the photos from his father's point of view in the boat. As Mark gazes at a photo of his father's hands, he feels the very same comforting hands on his shoulders. Mark looks across the sea edge and sees his pub table being flooded by the incoming tide. He runs to his table and chair like a boat waiting for departure. Mark sits down and holds his satchel protectively to his heart. The hypnotic rise and fall of the sea is replaced by the toing and froing of the pub mop. Barefooted, back in the pub, Mark's beer spillage is being mopped up. He opens the satchel, gazes in, brings the satchel to his heart, and closes his eyes. Mark is back at home. Sat at a candlelit table, he is carefully putting photos in an album. He folds the translucent page carefully over a photo of his dad wearing that blue cotton hat. As he turns the pages, beautiful childhood photos of him and his dad at the beach are revealed. We see Mark gazing at the photos as the film's credits roll up the screen. The final picture is of a small boat at sea.